The local guitar setup person hates him for this one simple trick. Well, it's actually a bunch of simple tricks. That's right, I'm gonna show you a variety of different ways to adjust and maintain your guitar so it plays better than it ever has before. All these adjustments and maintenance tips can be done by you at your house with some basic tools and products. I'll link everything I use in the description of this video in case you're interested in buying it and supporting the channel. And I encourage you to ask questions or share your own maintenance tips in the comments section down below in case there's anything that I missed in this video. And this video is gonna have it all. How to clean your guitar properly, how to adjust your truss rod, your action, your pickup height. Why would you want to do that? And what would it do if you did do it? The intonation of your guitar. None of these things are scary, I promise. They are all very simple and easy to do once you just learn how. The first thing you want to think about on your guitar is anything loose? Does it need tightening? This knob is a little loose. It's been bothering me. This is a neat little tool designed specifically to remove guitar knobs. Just click it in under the knob. So it's actually this little washer that needs tightening. You can do it with your finger. And you also may need to tighten things like your tuning pegs or the string peg nuts. Okay, so chances are you've never done what I'm about to show you to your guitar. This is a probe pick. It's kind of like a dental tool, I guess. If you've never done this to your guitar, which chances are you haven't, it may be a little disturbing. Just go right up against your fret and pull out many hours of grime. Oh my goodness. No. Now that that's over, we can actually polish the fret. These are StewMac fret erasers. You would start with the lowest grit, 180 grit, and then move up to the finest grit, which is 1000. This is a little brush to brush off the particles that you will be polishing out, and these go over the frets. Depending on what size fret, you're mainly going to be using this one. After your frets are all polished, you can shine them up with this from Music Nomad, and it just puts the little cherry on top. This is the fretboard conditioner that I like these days. But hold on, before you go crazy, if you have a maple neck that's finished, don't do that. These sorts of necks do not need that sort of treatment. Of course, don't forget to lubricate your nut with some slick nuts. This is great for if your neck gets a little cloudy, maybe you're in a humid environment. This is awesome to keep that neck nice and smooth. This is some great stuff to use if you're noticing any crackling in your volume or tone pots, or your pickup selector is crackling. This is the instrument polish that I like. Now when it comes to changing strings, most of my guitars have locking tuners where you can simply feed the string through the tuning peg and you are good to go when you lock it up. But if your guitar has standard tuning pegs, this is how I like to wrap the strings. You'll just put the string through and make sure to wrap over top of the string first. As it comes back around, we will wrap under, creating this little string sandwich that keeps the string perfectly in place as you tighten it. These next few adjustments are going to be made in playing position, so put the guitar on your lap how you would when you're playing it, and we are gonna start with adjusting the truss rod. Now I know what you're thinking, truss rod? my neck's gonna snap. This is too dangerous. Trust me, it is not scary whatsoever. The truss rod adjustment is actually one of the easiest and most effective adjustments to make when you're setting up your guitar. Here's how we do it. So you want your guitar neck to be completely straight as an arrow, completely flat. So to check if you need to adjust your truss rod, you'll fret this first fret, and then you'll come down here and fret the last fret, and then we do this little move here, which is checking how much space is in between the fretboard and the string. You'll want this little bounce on your pinky. First finger on the first fret of the E string, finger on the very last fret of that same thick E string, and then use your pinky to check the bounce. And too much bounce means an adjustment of the truss rod to tighten it. Not enough bounce means to give it some relief. If you don't see any space whatsoever and the string is kind of against the fretboard, then you have back bow, which means the truss rod is pulling the headstock backwards and needs relief. If you see a pretty big space in between the string and the fretboard, then you have front bow, which means you need to tighten the truss rod. I would say this guitar is pretty good, but I actually adjusted the truss rod just to demonstrate this, so we actually have a little bit of front bow going on. I'm gonna show you how to make this adjustment very simply. Most guitars come with a truss rod adjustment tool. To add relief or loosen the truss rod, you'll push the tool forward. To tighten the truss rod, pull the tool toward you. Looks perfect to me, and it should ring true. Now we're gonna take a look at the action. We are going to need a machinist ruler, which uses 32nd of an inch measurements. And for the high E string, you'll want about 2 32nds. For the low E string, we want it to be about 2.5 32nds, which if I check here, it looks to be about 3. So this is high. I wanna pull this action down a little bit. You'll do that by actually loosening the respective screws on the saddle. And you'll see that starts to bring the action of the string down. Perfect. Now we come to adjusting your pickup height. Chances are you don't really have to do this. It's more of a tinkering thing than anything else. The pickup height is going to affect tone and overall output. So pickups are little microphones. The further away your pickup is from the string, the less output you're going to receive, but also a little bit warmer tone may be the result. If the pickups are higher or closer to the strings, you're going to have a louder output, but you're going to also maybe have a little bit of an abrasive sound, especially in each pickup's frequency range. So like if your treble pickup was really close to your strings, then you're going to have a really biting, edgy sound, which some people like. Contrast that with the bass pickup. If the bass pickup's real close to the strings, you're going to have a big, boomy sound, which can be good, but I generally like to be straight down the middle when it comes to pickup height. I generally leave it with the manufacturer and don't really have to push it too far out of the way, just depending on if you had to adjust your action and maybe your pickups are getting in the way, you can push them down a little bit, but generally the rule of thumb is between 2 and 3 32nds on your machinist ruler. Between all the pickups, just set them there and then adjust accordingly based on your ear. So here's the final tip I have for you in this video, and this is the last thing you want to do when you are adjusting your guitar setup, and that is the intonation. So what we're gonna do is first a little trick that I picked up somewhere along the way. I think I actually picked this up when I was touring the PRS factory. We're gonna turn our tone knob down to about halfway, and we're gonna put our pickup selection on the neck pickup. And what this does is essentially dull the overtones in your guitar signal. So if you've ever had a tuner that kind of like bounces around, then this is gonna take care of that problem. You're getting rid of all those juicy, saturated overtones and frequencies and pulling them out of the signal just for a moment while we get the intonation, the tuning correct. And by the way, we are gonna wanna plug into an actual physical tuner. You don't wanna be using one of the headstock tuners. Those just aren't quite as accurate, especially when we're doing something as delicate as an intonation set. So what we're gonna do is play an A string, for example, and we're gonna get that perfectly in tune first. And then with our playing grip, meaning you wanna actually fret the note how you would play it, because that's how you want it to be in tune. You don't wanna press too hard or not hard enough, and then when you actually play the guitar like you would naturally, it won't be properly intonated. So with our playing grip, we're gonna fret the 12th fret of the A, and Well, looks like we're perfectly intonated. Let's find one that's not intonated. How about the E string? Got the E perfectly in, fret the 12th fret, and well, maybe this guitar is a bad example. Let's try the D string. Twelfth fret. There we go. All right, so this is a little bit sharp, so what we want to do is take our screwdriver and loosen that saddle. And just a small turn's all we need for that amount, so as we can see, went a little too far. Perfect. And we're going to want to tune that back up a little bit. Now, this should be perfectly in tune. Make that adjustment to all 6 strings, whichever ones need it, and you are intonated. Well, there you have it, my friends. A bunch of adjustments and maintenance tips from me to you. It's like you have a brand new instrument. Isn't that nice? Until next time, keep shredding.